Hi there guys, welcome back to Byte Review, where this time we're looking at the return of the king of budget phones, which is of course the Moto Z. Now this is the first new Moto Z from Motorola since Lenovo took over the company, and as such there are a few design differences from last year's model, while it still retains its incredibly low price point of 169 quid. The phone is flatter and slimmer than it's ever been before, and the classic M dimple has been reduced as well. The back is a bit less textured and rounded, making it a little less grippy in the hand. However, the design choices are really welcome. The phone still retains its classic Motorola look, while making the overall design feel more sleek and modern. Lenovo also made sure that we still have Moto Maker available, so you can customise this phone to your heart's content if you order it from Motorola's website. There's still a dizzying amount of options to choose from, and you can truly make the phone your own with an engraving after you've decided what colours you want. A slightly disappointing change from last year is the lack of water resistance in the Moto G4. There's no resistance here to speak of, however the back still does come off, revealing a micro SD card slot and either 1 or 2 SIM card slots depending on your region. In other hardware terms, we've got a textured power button alongside the volume rocker, which are both really well placed, a headphone jack up top and a simple micro USB slot at the bottom for charging. Overall, I think the design of the phone is excellent. I have no real complaints about the look or the feel of the device, especially at this price point. A big change for this year, however, is the increase of screen size from 5 inches to 5.5 inches and a bump in resolution to Full HD. And it's not a bad screen at all. Colours come through well, and while it's not going to be as punchy as an AMOLED display, it does get plenty bright enough to see outdoors on a sunny day. There's also a front-facing speaker on the device too, and while it only comes out in mono, it gets loud enough to show your mates a YouTube clip in a crowded room. A minor disappointment is the screen does ghost a little. If you look at the YouTube channel icon here, you can see that it leaves a little trail behind it. However, this is really hard to notice in day-to-day use, and it really is a bit of a nitpick. Powering the G4 is a Snapdragon 617, which is an octa-core kind of mid-range chip backed up with a decent 2GB of RAM, and generally speaking this keeps the Moto G flying through the near-to-stock version of Android that's installed. There's obviously a few changes which Motorola have made to the system that are welcomed and will be quite familiar if you've owned a Motorola phone before. We've got a double chop for the flashlight, a double twist for the camera, which isn't the quickest at launching, and also once you've launched it you can double twist it again to get up your selfie camera. Active notifications also make a welcome return, which allow you to see your notifications without actually switching the phone on. It's still one of my favourite features for the phone, and in my opinion it's the smartest addition that Motorola make. If you're a smartphone gamer, you won't be disappointed either. The Snapdragon 617 coupled with an Adreno 405 still hold their own for gaming, and while games can take a little longer to load, I didn't notice any lag or frame rate drops while playing more intensive games. I must admit though, as clean and as bloat-free as stock Android is, I've grown away from it recently, as I think it makes all the icons look a little huge, so I'm still using Nova Launcher at the moment for a bit more of a personal and customised look. Camera wise, we're looking at a 13 megapixel shooter on the back of the Moto G4, and thankfully this time round Motorola have gone with a more conventional camera app than before. You press a button now to take the photo as opposed to just tapping the screen, which often resulted in an out of focus photo on the older models. There's also an interesting manual mode which looks like it's been ripped right out of a Lumia, which does work well to its credit. Once the camera app is loaded up, it's quite quick to take shots as well. Photos look pretty good in general. Again, at this price point it's difficult to expect a really decent camera, but again the Moto G proves its stuff. Colours seem accurate and it holds its own in low light situations as well. I did find it tends to underexpose sometimes though when the light is really quite bright. And there's clearly something very wrong with the panorama mode, which right now at least doesn't seem to focus at all. However, I'm hoping that can be fixed with a software update soon. Video footage was quite impressive, staying relatively steady while walking along. However, I still found it to underexpose a little. There's now also a slow motion mode, but it's nothing really to write home about. Battery life was a really awesome surprise. I was expecting the compromise from this phone to come from here if anything, but I was blown away. The 3000 mAh battery lasted me all day with no issues for all the days I spent testing it. On average, I was getting about 3.5 hours of screen on time before the day was over, and I usually had around 30% of the battery life left. Interestingly, the phone does support fast charging, or turbo charging as Motorola calls it, but the charger in the box doesn't support this. However, if you connect the phone to a fast charger, you can pour a huge amount of charge into the phone in no time at all. So let's just have a quick recap. a full HD 5.5-inch display, an octa-core chip with 2GB of RAM, an all-day battery, near stock Android, a microSD card slot, turbocharging, and a half-decent camera, all for £169. I think these are pretty much all plus points, and if I am to nitpick, which I will, I'll say the camera underexposes a little too much in the photo and video mode, and it's a shame there isn't a turbocharger in the box. So there we have it. If you're looking for a budget-busting phone that won't let you down, then the Moto G is a really good choice. Don't get me wrong, it's not the only choice out there. Xiaomi, Huawei, Meizu, and even Lenovo themselves all make incredible phones at this price point. However, if you're in the UK, those phones can be really difficult to come by. So for me, I'd say the Moto G is still one of the best bang for buck phones you can get. Thanks for watching this review, guys, and if you've enjoyed it, then pop us a like, and you could always smash that subscribe button. I'll be seeing you in the next one.